What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Inferno here, and I'm checking in once again with yet another tutorial. Yes, say. So inside this tutorial, I'm going to teach you guys how I was able to achieve this nice flyer for one of my clients. Welcome back to all my subscribers, and if you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay with this awesome family. And please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell icon so that anytime a video comes out, you'll be the first to get notified. Without much ado, let's get into business. So this is the flyer we want to achieve. So as usual, we have to create a new document. So the new document, we are going to locate it from here. So file on the menu bar and then new. You can use the key combinations Ctrl+N on the keyboard. So you'll be given the new document dialog box. And in here, your value should be 5. So unit of measurement is inches, value width is 5, and then height is 6. Your resolution should be 300 dpi, and color profile should be Adobe RGB 1998. So you'll be given this, and then you'd start to do some. So this is going to be your workspace. So the workspace where you are going to design the actual flyer. So we are going to create a new workspace that we are going to design the title itself. I usually design the title on the actual flyers dimensions or inside the actual flyers document, but with that of today, I'm going to create a new document and then do that because of some few adjustments that I'm going to do. So bear with me. Okay. So we will start with our title design. Okay. So you will left click, and then if you have previously used a very big font size, you have to readjust it so that you get the perfect font size that you need for you to design your title. Okay. All right. So I would type in 12 points, and then I would increase it from here. So left click and drag on the TT icon and then change the color to gray. Okay. So you would reduce the font size from here, and then you change the color from here. Okay. So type Jesus. So Jesus. Then press Ctrl Enter to register action. Select V for the move to so that you can move the text around, because if your type 2 is selected, you can't. Okay. So press Ctrl T and left click and drag from any point to increase the size of the text. Do similar again by pressing Ctrl T and left click and then drag to get something like this. Press Ctrl Enter to register action. Okay. So in our title design, the sizes of the S, that is the Jesus. In Jesus, we have two S. So the first S in the middle, and then the last S at the end. Sorry about that. The last S at the end. So the middle one would be big, and then the last S would be smaller. That is what I intended to achieve for my title design. Just as you can see from here, the S here is bigger, and then the S at the end is smaller. That is what I intended to achieve. So the S at the center is big, and then the S at the end is small. Okay. So in here, for me to be able to achieve that, I have to select only the S at the end of Jesus here by just left clicking and then dragging over it to select it, and then press Ctrl X on the keyboard to cut it. Press Ctrl Enter to register the action that you just did, and then press Ctrl J to duplicate the text layer of Jesu, and then with Ctrl press down, left click and drag, add shift so that you conform the movement on a straight or a horizontal line. So press Ctrl T, and then you'll be given the chance to edit the Jesu text layer. So press Ctrl V and then paste the cut S, then press Ctrl S to register, and then hold Shift and then use the arrow key to reposition it into place. That is where you prefer. Press Ctrl T and then scale down the size. Press Ctrl Enter to register, and then adjust, okay, or reposition to ensure that it is in line with what you want to achieve. So you get something like this, and yes, a bit bigger. So I would have to scale it. I would have to scale it up a bit to make it a bit bigger. So with the S selected, I'll press Ctrl T. I would hold down Ctrl R space and then left click and drag to the right to zoom in, and then I would left click and drag to increase the size, okay, of the S to like so. And I would press Enter to register action. So Control plus O or 0 to fit document. So like so. Okay. All right. So underneath I have my all in all. So I created a line. So you and inside the shape tools I selected the line 2. Okay. So the line 2, and I disabled the fill by left clicking and then selecting this, and I enabled the stroke, okay, just as I did a similar action to the fill. So left click and then drag to register or to draw a line, okay, and then you release to register it. So use the arrow keys, the up arrow key, and then reposition the line. Press Ctrl J to duplicate it. Hold down Shift and Ctrl so that the positioning of the line happens to be on the straight line, so that you don't have it, okay, coming downwards, so that you don't get alignment issues. Okay, so always hold Shift and then add Ctrl as you drag. Okay, so you get something like this, and you would select the S. Okay, you just click on it to select it. Ctrl J, and then you move it with Ctrl press down in the left click and drag. You move it downwards. Okay, press Ctrl Enter to be given the chance to edit the S, and then type in my all in all. Okay, my all in all. Okay, press Ctrl A to select everything and change the font style to Montserrat. Okay, font style for my all in all is Montserrat. So bold, and you capitalize everything by selecting the TT. Okay, just as I've currently done, and then left click on this and drag to the left to reduce the font size. Register action by clicking there or by using Ctrl plus Enter. Press Ctrl Enter once again and click in between the all and then in. Okay, the all and then the in, and then press space bar and then space them. You get something like this. This is what we intend to achieve. So Ctrl T okay, and then reduce the font size and reposition, Control Enter, and then space. Okay, give you something like that. Again, this is what we intend to achieve. And then select the line and then press Ctrl J. Okay, and then position it somewhere here. Okay, all right, so like so. So remember I taught you guys something about layer masking yesterday. So because of that, I will do away with this line, then I will select line 1. Okay, press Ctrl A, press A on the keyboard, and then left click and drag over the particular area that I did drag over. And then what you are going to see is the anchor point over there is going to be selected. So hold Shift and forward arrow key and move it to that side. Apologies, I'm talking too fast, so it's because of the time. I want to get things done for you on time. And I would press Ctrl G to group, and I would add a layer mask. Okay, B for the brush tool, and use the bracket keys that come right after the P key on the keyboard to either reduce the size of the brush or increase. Okay, so on the left hand side would decrease, and then on the right hand side would increase. Okay, then to get something like this, like so, and then you come in here to see if you are in line. So yes, you are in line, and let's select this 1, 2, okay, and then drag it into our first group. Okay, and then you would expand our masking to that 1, 2. Okay, so once again on the layer mask, black hides and then white reveals. Okay, so I'm using black. I'm applying black on the group layer that has the line shapes to hide the areas in the line that I don't like. So I would come in here, then select line copy to A, okay, A on the keyboard, and then drag over this point, and then hold Shift and then move it to the left, drag over this, hold Shift and then move to the right to expand the line over there too as well. And we are close indeed. So all in all, and then you double click to select everything in that particular text layer, and then space bar to space it, and then press Ctrl Enter to register action, and then use the arrow keys to try and then reposition it a little bit to suit your preference. So I think we are there. So let's do one more thing. Yeah, so let's select the line copy layer and then move it upwards to get something like so. Yes, select everything together and then press Ctrl G, Ctrl J, okay, Ctrl J or Ctrl G to group them, and convert them into a smart object. Convert them into a smart object. Press Ctrl T and right click and select skew. Okay, skew. And if you can quite remember, I used it yesterday. So skew, and then we are going to go this way. You see, that way, up. So Ctrl T, right click and skew. Then I'm going to move it up to get something like this, and press Ctrl Enter to register it. So that is basically how I was able to achieve that kind of diagonally looking title or diagonal looking title. Okay, all right, so there we go. So we are done. You just have to drag it onto our flyer design document or into our flyer design document. So we would close this one. We don't need it because we've already converted the GCS layer into a smart object. So if you want to edit anything, you just have to double click in here. And then we get access to the various files and the individual files and then edit them. Okay, all right. Control W to close that particular document, and there we go. So let's position stuff. Okay, so first our character. Okay, this is going to be the image that we are going to use. This is the image of our character, the minister, and my machine is quite slow, so I've cropped it already here, and then we are going to have to import it. Okay, so you just drag it in there and then reposition it here, and then left click on it and then drag it underneath the title, because Photoshop works with layers. If layer 1 is on top of layer 2, layer 2 has to appear first before layer 1, unless layer 2 has been hidden. Otherwise, it is impossible that layer 2 becomes visible before layer 1. Okay, so in this case, our title was behind our subject was covering everything, and our subject was on top. So I had to drag it underneath. Okay, left click and drag, so I get something like this. Now we'll reposition our title or text to somewhere here. Press Ctrl T and try to increase the size to somewhere like so, and reposition our minister somewhere here to give me something like so. Okay, and let's introduce our background too as well. Our background here, this is our background, one of them, so one of our backgrounds, so we just have to introduce it, and then by left click and dragging it into Photoshop, and then left click and then drag it here and then release, so like so. And then once again, everything is, our subject is underneath the background layer, so he has been covered. So hold left click and then drag it behind him so that our subject becomes visible and the background goes underneath it, because that is the order that we would like our artwork to be inside. Okay, all right, or our images to be inside. All right, so good, there we go. And you see that right away there is something that you are seeing. This particular part of our image looks very saturated, and it is not making the whole thing look nice, the artwork look nice, because that part is very saturated. When you're designing, the background has to be a bit desaturated, so the foreground has to be saturated more than the background. If the background is more saturated than the foreground, your artwork would never look nice. Okay, even if you blur it. Okay, so make sure that your background is a bit desaturated as compared to your foreground. Okay, very good. So this particular part of my image or my background is not helping the overall design, so I have to do something about it. So in this case, I would introduce a second background image, that is this. Okay, so I would left click on it and then drag and then drop it in here, press OK, and then register it. So bring this one here. I believe you get what you're doing. All right, and then add a layer mask. So I have my tablet here, so I'll just have to, it would help me with the cleaning. So I'll select the layer mask. I'll select the layer mask, B for the brush tool, and then use one of the bracket keys after P. So this time around, I use the one on the left to reduce and start applying. I would click here, the arrow, left click, and then choose soft round, and then increase the hardness a bit. If there's anything inside the video that you didn't get, drop it inside the comment section. I'll reply to everything. Okay, thank you. So we just have to keep going. And like so. Okay, like so. If your hardness is too much, you can reduce it. Okay, you have the freedom. Okay, you have the freedom. So this time around, my hardness is too much. So let me just redo everything. Opacity should be somewhere around the 42nd mark, or the 42% range. Okay, I don't want the cleaning should be that intense. Okay, it should be subtle. Okay, so I'll just apply. Okay, then I would add a bit to it. Even though I would be cleaning that particular part of the image, I don't want all that particular region to disappear. I want some to be there. Okay, so that is why I'm using that particular um, adjustment. Or that's why I'm using that particular brush size. So something like so. Okay, like so. Are we getting close? Yes, we are. Okay, and X. Okay, reduce the brush opacity percentage, and then apply some back inside. Okay, somewhere like so. Everything would make sense as we progress. Okay, everything will make sense as we progress, and have something like this. Okay, rightfully so. Okay, so come back in here, and then you select that particular layer, and then you press Ctrl G to duplicate it. Okay, and then press Ctrl T, and then right click and flip horizontal. Okay, give me something like this, and then hold shift and then use the arrow key to your left to reposition to somewhere like so. Okay, all right, select the layer mask of that particular layer, B for the brush tool, and then paint. Okay, so switch the foreground and background colors with X, and apply. Apply like so. Okay, so just like that. Okay, so opacity back to somewhere 66, and then apply. Okay, okay, all right. Make sure that the same layer marks of that particular layer is selected, so that you don't go and then do other adjustment on different layer mask. So make sure this is selected, and then reduce the opacity percentage, and switch foreground and background. Click anywhere, somewhere here, anywhere, somewhere here, so that this particular percentage becomes deselected, and then switch the foreground and background with X, and apply your color. Okay, when you go to the edge, you see the edge is going to become hard because the image is a bit short. It's a bit short than we expected. So you have it somewhere here, and like so. Yes. So there we go. So there is this bird here that I don't like, so I'll leave it there for now, and as we work, I will know how to fix it. Okay. So we are going to have to introduce our flag. Okay, so the flag I have the flag here. I generated the flag with Gemini. I generated the flag with Gemini, so you can also do so. Burning flag. Okay, so I've already cropped it here because of my machine's performance is quite slow, so I'll just import it like so. Okay, and then reposition it somewhere here. Are we good? All right. So I would left click and then drag the group back here. Okay. So just like that, our artwork is taking shape. And yeah, that's basically it for now. Okay. So you select this and press Ctrl C and then flip it horizontally to get something like this. Okay. And then B for the brush tool and switch it X and then kind of increase the opacity and do away with some of the regions that you don't want. It's as simple as that. And you keep somewhere here. You see, good. So you select this one too, and you press Ctrl T, and then you flip horizontal to give you something like this, and then you reposition it. Okay, like so. Yeah. Let's Ctrl T. Let me switch again. And yeah, I think like so. Yeah, like so. This was how it was. Yeah. So I've just flipped the various layers to give you my preferred look for my background. Okay, all right. So Control Shift N to create a new layer, and I will name this grad or gradient. It is not necessarily a gradient fill, but I just prefer to name gradient, or better still white. Let's see, blue for the normal. Then okay. Are you good? All right. B for the brush to change the color from the foreground's color from violet to white, and then increase the size of the brush. Okay, and then apply. Okay, so you get something like this, and then drag it and make sure that it is underneath the flag. Okay, and then make sure the flag is on top of these two layers, the two background layers underneath. Okay, underneath the background, that is these two layers. Okay, let me select this layer, then B, then try to introduce some of the regions of that particular layer back if it is going to allow me. Not really, but that's fine. Let's reposition our white. So I'll select the white and get it somewhere here. Okay, then just like that. Select this layer and see if you can get. So let me switch it. Let me flip it, flip horizontal, and see if it can give me what I want. Okay, like so. Yeah, like so. Like so. Like so, yeah. Like so. And I would select the layer mask and then use the brush tool and then do away. Switch the foreground and then the background colors with X. And then do away with the unwanted areas. Yeah, like so. Reduce the size with the bracket keys after the P. And then reduce the opacity to 758 and then do it with some of the regions over there. And we are close, just like that. Yeah, just like that, we are close. And yeah. So select the background layer, press Ctrl T, and then move it down. Okay, to somewhere around this particular area. Okay, somewhere here. Okay, I think this is what I like. I think this is going to give me the effect that I want. Now I press Ctrl Enter to register it. So here you get something like this. And you are not done. You have to also introduce some stuff in there. So that is the logo. Okay, the logo on this particular flag. Okay, good. So you click on the plus icon to introduce a new layer. That is what I normally do. Then I would click here and then come in here, select the logo of the minister, okay, and bring it somewhere here, and then paste it, okay, or drop it. So press Ctrl T, okay, but before you press Ctrl T, just right click and then convert to smart objects, okay, and press Ctrl T and then reduce the size. I'll create a lesson on smart objects, okay, so you guys should relax, okay, all right. Then you reduce the size and then you reposition somewhere here. Press Ctrl T one more time, then reposition to somewhere like so, okay. So let the flag move it upwards a bit, okay, and then select the logo, okay, move it upwards. You can rename the logo so that you get to see in terms of specific what you have selected whenever you try to visit the layers panel, okay. So somewhere there, somewhere like so, and then yes, I did a small thing that is crucial to the title design. So I selected the title itself, the Jesus My All in All. Then what I did was I duplicated it. So Ctrl J. Then I hit. Let me name this down underscore title. Okay. And then let me name this main. Okay. So I double clicked on this. And now I turn its color to white. So it's white, okay. And I hate this, okay, good. So I have this particular 3D text effect that I downloaded from one of the sites that I came across on the internet, and I think it's a very nice effect. So I'll just load it inside, and then I would import my text in there to turn it into 3D. Okay, good. So I'll double click on it to get it opened. Okay, all right. So it loads, and then we get this. This was for not for a similar project, but for the same minister. But I think the last 2 years. Yeah, last 2 years. So I would double click on it, and then this opens. Okay, now I'll double click in here, and this opens as well. So this happens to be the final layer. So what I'll do is I would come into my untitled layer, and then I would bring back the visibility, or I would re-enable the visibility on the main layer, and then I would left click on it and then drag it to somewhere like so. And I would shift and then paste. Press on yes, press Ctrl T, increase the font size like so, okay, to match what is currently there. So that was what I did very fast, and you're good. So I just did something like this, then I had it there. I held Alt and then left click and dragged the effect on that particular text to match with mine, and then I hid that particular layer. Okay, very good. So I double clicked on the main here, and then I open this layer, and I hid this particular one, the lines. I hid the Jesus, like my all in all, and then the only thing that was left was the Jesus. Okay, I press Ctrl S to overwrite it inside the mother group, and it is going to save. So it is done. So I will go back into my master group, and then the changes have been effected. I'll press Ctrl T, and I would increase my Jesus font size a bit. like so, because if your font size is smaller, the effect tends to be small. Okay, so it has to be, or it tends to be smaller, so it has to be bigger so that you get a bigger effect, like look on the particular text that you placed in there. So I'll press Ctrl S, and it also overwrites onto the master layer because it is a group of layers tagged into each other in the form of a smart object. Okay. So I would come back into this particular layer, and then it has been saved over there. So I'll press Ctrl S on it, and it would also overwrite how the master artwork, the mother artwork, or the mother smart object layer. Okay, look, it is going to also override a particular look. Okay, with the changes that have been applied in there. Okay, and that is how the smart object layer works. So like that, it is done. So I'll just press close here, and I would also do similar to this. Then I'll select the master layer, and there we go. Everything has been overwritten. So you select the 3D text layer, and then I would, this time around, you would bring it in here and then drop it. Okay, so you have something like this. And this time around, hide the main, select the 3D text, and reposition it like so. Okay, select the down title, and add the layer, like group it first, add the layer mask, and then B for the brush to make sure that you're using hard round brush. Okay, good. And then opacity 100%, and apply black. Okay, apply black, and then hide all the whites. So Control space, left click and drag to your right to zoom in, and then do away with the whites. Okay, underneath the the newly created Jesus layer. So like so, I think this will do, and just like that, we have it. Okay, so this was what I created. This happens to be how I got the title design over the line. And so I'll select the down title group, and then I would add a 3D group to it. I'll group them, and then I think I have them as one, and I can move them together. You can also link them, but I think I like it like so. You can see that the contrast is not that there. Okay, the contrast is not that there because the background and then the foreground element, they are kind of, in terms of brightness, they are a bit close. Okay, so we have to kind of create some or add some distinct effect that is going to separate all the elements in the artwork to make the artwork, when it comes to focus and everything, to make it intact. Okay, so right now we have to press and hold Control, Alt Shift, Add N to create a new layer. Okay, and I'll name it underneath. Now press Enter. Okay, click on the foreground color, select black for it, and then G. Okay, G for the gradient to hold Shift. Make sure that you have this particular type, not this, not that, but this. Okay, this is foreground to transparency. Okay, and then left click and drag upwards, and then we get something like so. Okay, so drag it and then make sure that it's underneath the title layer. Let me rename it to title. So like so, and then you are not done. It is too intense, so press Ctrl T, and then move it a bit upwards, and then reduce its opacity like so. It shouldn't be too much. Okay, so somewhere here, a bit subtle, and then we select we right click on the Jesus My All in All title, and everything inside the group will be selected. You hold Shift and you move it down. It's very simple, and the rest, I think it happens to be some kind of effects. So I'll select the flag. Okay, I'll select the flag, and then I would first let me do this. Let me do this the background. These two elements together. Let me lock this particular layer. The very reason why I've locked that particular layer is it is on top of like almost the like all the elements inside the background. So for me to access the element in the background, I have to get to that layer first. And I don't want that layer to distract me. So I log it so that I can get to those elements, that is the background element underneath it, without selecting it. Okay. So if you feel something similar, that is what you have to do. Log that element on top, that is over the element underneath, so that you can get to the element underneath by just clicking them. Okay. Otherwise, you have to do other things to get to them. Okay. All right. Manual. So yes. So I'll right click again and then position it. And I would click on the element, and this time around they've been selected. Okay, directly. So I would select. I would just have to. Okay. All right. Let me do this. Select, hold Control, add the other inverse or the other flip. Press Control G to group them and convert them into a smart object. Okay. And then go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. Okay. It is too much, so reduce it to somewhere like so. Okay. Somewhere like so. Okay. That is how it works. And if there is anything inside the group, the converted layer that you like to edit, once again, you just have to double click in here, and then you'll be given access to them. Sorry about that. Be given access to them here, and then don't worry about how it looks here. It looks perfect inside the design. Okay. So like this particular region, I'll just switch the background and foreground with X, and I would apply back those areas with soft round brush, like so. But let me get back to somewhere 100% because time is not on our side, and then try to repaint these particular areas back inside. So when I get to the edge, okay, when I get to the edge, I would have to reduce the opacity so that the application becomes subtle, and just like that we are close. Okay, just like that we are close. Just like that. Okay, just like that. Okay. Okay. All right. So press Ctrl S and then V for the move to. Okay. Get back to the documents or the master document, and then you are going to see the change effected. Okay. So right now we have some few things left to do, and that has got to do with the sparks and other things inside the artwork. So you first have to type this 13 December. Okay, at. Okay. So let me do this. I have to type them back. Time is not my size. I'll just, okay. Let me close this layer. Here, that is yellow, and let's click and drag here. okay, like so. Okay, press Ctrl J and then move the December to somewhere like so. Press Ctrl Enter and Ctrl V to paste. Okay, Ctrl A and then hold Shift and then select, hold Shift and insert the @ sign. So add 2 to Shift. Then the @ sign is going to be inserted. Okay, so press Ctrl A, change its color to black, then press Ctrl Enter to register action, and then drag and then place the rectangle on top of and drag the @ sign on top of the rectangle. Okay, all right, press Ctrl Enter and it appears we don't have it there, so let me go in for a different font. So I think it is still Go Bold. Go Bold. Okay, so it is still Go Bold, and I think it's extra 1. There's still extra 1 regular. So Go Bold extra 1, like so, and I think this is the color that I selected. So I sampled it with the eyedropper too. So so December 13 December @ and then the venue comes underneath it and then the time. Okay, so when you are done with that, all that you have to do is to make sure that you have everything selected. Okay, we don't have a range here, we don't have a range there, so we can't select them together, so we have to take our time and select them one after the other. So I would first, the @ sign is selected, so I would add rectangle, I would add the time, I would add the date, and I'll try to, okay, the venue too here as well, and then just like that. So you hold Control and then left click and drag to see if all of them is selected. And I think everything is selected, so press Ctrl G to group them and convert them into a smart object. Okay, press Ctrl T and right click, select skew, and then skew them to like so. Okay, so somebody might be like, or somebody will be like, then I can do everything together plus the title. You can, okay, but this is how I did mine. Okay, you can also achieve what I've done with the same thing, or with a similar effect, just as I did for the first one. So everything together, okay, all of them inside one, like inside one smart object, and then you save them, and then they would appear as one layer inside the new document. Okay, but this is how I did mine. Okay, so zoom in and press Ctrl T and hold Control and then readjust this skew, okay, to ensure that it's in line with this. Okay, so just like that, I think we are good. Okay, just like that, we are good. And the next things, I think it was about the flag. You see, I wanted the flag to kind of have this glow thing in there. I wanted the flag to glow. Okay, so I duplicated it, and then I made sure that one of the flags has a color dodge or divide blend, like, is it blending mode? Yes, as compared to the one underneath. So this is how I did it. So I just duplicated the flag. So let me rename it to flag. Okay, so I'll duplicate it. So Control J, and I would have a duplicate of it. And then I will change the blending mode, the color dodge, like so. This color dodge. Let me see. Yes, color dodge. Okay, color dodge. So you are not done yet after you've changed the blending mode to color dodge. Okay, you have to once again hold Control and select the flag layer. Okay, and this time around, you're not going to group them, you are going to link them so that when you move them, they move together. Okay, so you right click and then you go to link layers, and right now you have them linked. Okay, so you select the first one, add the layer mask to it. Okay, and then B for the brush tool, and then you erase. Okay, make sure that you have black selected. So in this case, we have white as our foreground, so switch from white to black. Okay, so always take notes. So I'll switch from white to black with X, and I would apply. So opacity, reduce it to somewhere around 48. Okay, and then apply like so. Reduce it again. Okay, I want the layer style to blend with, okay, the artwork. And even inside the yellow stick, you can zoom in, okay, by holding Control, adding space, left click and dragging to your right, and then holding space once again, okay, to activate the hand tool and reposition it somewhere here. Left clicking and dragging, and then inside the yellow bar itself, try and apply, okay, try and apply black. Okay, even inside, okay, it's going to give you a really dynamic effect. And just like that, I think we are almost there. Okay, all right, so like so, and yeah, so I did some few titles. So I selected the title layer. Okay, double clicked on it. Okay, double click on the title layer, and then I gave it a drop shadow. Okay, I gave it a drop shadow to kind of separate it a bit from the background. Okay, and then I went to okay, like so, and yeah, so I clicked on the white, Control J, and press Control. I'll maintain it. I think the intensity is fine. So like so, and then what I did next was I have some sparks on it that I did introduce, and I did so through this particular image. So I just clicked and I imported it into the artwork like so, and then I left clicked and I dragged it on here. Okay, and then change the blending mode to, is it screen? Yes, change the blending mode to screen, and screen like so. Okay, just like that. Then I added the layer mask, very, very important. And then B for the brush to I have my tablet here, so it's going to worry. I'm going to disturb it. So I use it to clean that. Okay, 18 for opacity percentage is too low, so just increase it and then do away with the unwanted part of the spark, okay, or the sparks. Then I think these areas here too as well. And yeah, I think we are close, right? Yes, yeah, we are close. So that is it for the sparks. And with the sparks, to make sure that you clean the edges of the spark, because if you don't clean it well, then we have some kind of flares in there. They are going to give you some hard edges for that particular layer, which is not going to look aesthetically pleasing. Okay, good. So I'll just clean and then like so. Okay, all right. So we have one more thing that is very, very significant. So far as the look of our subject is concerned, that is, we have to grade it. Okay, and because time is not on our side, I'm going to make it a bit faster. Okay, so this is how it's able to achieve it. I first added a gradient map adjustment. onto that particular layer. So this time around, you see the gradient map adjustment has affected everything. Okay, so that is not how I want it to look. I want it to affect only my subject layer. Okay, so I have to do what we call clip masking. So shortcut is Alt, okay, Alt Control G. Okay, so Alt, you see, or Control Alt G. Control Alt G or Alt Control G is going to clip one image on top of the image right underneath it. So that is how it's supposed to work. One image on top, one image right underneath it. Okay. And I guess something like that. I'll change the flow. Okay. So the shadows, the color inside the shadows, and then the color inside our highlights. So that is how the gradient map adjustment works. So I'll click on this particular area, or inside that particular area. I would maintain the black, but I will change the yellow for white. So I'll click on the yellow here, and then I'll change its color from yellow to white, and I'll get something like so. Okay, and I would click on OK. I would maintain the midpoint placement for now. Okay, I would not touch it, and I'll go to OK, like so. I'll change the blending mode of the gradient map layer itself to soft light, not overlay, soft light. Then I'll select the image. Okay, I'll select the image. And I'll go to image adjustment, shadows and highlights. Okay, shadows and highlights. So just as you can see, we have a lot of adjustments in there, but go with this adjustment for my image. Time is not on our side, so I'm not going to explain that much, but I will try to do due diligence to whatever I say. So these are the values that I used. Okay, the first one, this particular adjustment, okay, the amount is for the amount of the effect, okay, or the how intense the effect is on the subject. So see, the placement, if it is too intense, the effect is too intense on the subject. If it is too subtle, the effect is too subtle. So I wouldn't go that much. I would go around somewhere 44 and then the rest will full. If you want a video on that, I'll do a video on that for you guys. Okay, so that is how it is. So effect, the tone, and then the radius, and then I achieve this. So you play around with these sliders, and then you are going to achieve this. Okay, the same applies to these sliders. Okay, this is for the highlight, and this is for the shadows. Okay, very good. Go to OK, and like so. So this is our before. Okay, and this is our after. Okay, so like so, and then the rest were just titles. Yeah, I think so. The rest were just insertions. So there's little to no time. So I just type in. So I didn't do, there's nothing unique here. Okay, they are all just typing. I just type them. Okay, type tests. Okay, type tests. So like so, this is how I was able to achieve this effect in Photoshop. So thank you very much for sticking around, and don't forget to drop your views, your comment inside the comment section now, and then I would reply to them. So enjoy the week and have an exciting time. You might hear from me within 2 days time, so get prepared. So peace.